Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
Let's get into it, because this story has been clawing at me for months. A wound I didn't know was bleeding until it scarred over in ways I never expected, leaving me to piece together who I am without the life I thought I'd live forever. It all unraveled over a single text message, not some grand, cinematic confrontation with tears and shouting under a rain-soaked sky in the movies. No violins swelling in the background to underscore the drama. No, it was just a Thursday afternoon, me sitting at my desk in a sterile office cubicle, scrolling through my phone during a lunch break that felt heavier than usual. The fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like a warning I ignored, my half-eaten sandwich growing soggy on a napkin. We'd been married for 9 years, Leela and I, high school sweethearts who turned into that couple everyone envied. Stable jobs, a cozy suburban house with a wraparound porch and a garden we'd planted together. Weekend hikes where we'd point out constellations and laugh about how we'd name a star to our future kids someday. Inside jokes that still made us chuckle over morning coffee. Also, I thought, her name was Leela, my world since we were 17, whispering secrets in the back of her dad's old pickup truck under a blanket of stars, dreaming of a life bigger than our small town. But lately, things had felt off. Not explosive, not a screaming match that shakes the walls, just a slow, insidious fade, like a favorite photo left too long in the sun, colors leaching away until you barely recognize the memory, until the edges curl and the faces blur. The text popped up from her around noon. Hey, running late tonight. Meeting with the team after work. Don't wait up. Nothing unusual on the surface. She was a project manager at a fast-paced marketing firm, always hustling for the next big client, always tethered to her laptop or phone, her ambition a fire that both awed and exhausted me. But attached was a photo, one that clearly wasn't meant for me, because it hit like a punch I didn't see coming, a blow that knocked the air out of my lungs. It was her, radiant in a deep blue dress I didn't recognize, one that hugged her curves in ways that made my chest ache with nostalgia for when she'd dress up for me, for our date nights that used to feel like events. She was smiling that unguarded, electric smile she used to flash when we were young and reckless, her eyes sparkling with something alive, something I hadn't seen in months. The caption read, "Can't wait for tonight. You always know how to make me feel alive." My stomach dropped like I'd swallowed lead, the kind of weight that pins you in place, roots you to the moment. I stared at the screen, the office chatter fading into a dull hum, my sandwich forgotten entirely, the world narrowing to those words, and that image. Who was this for? Not me. I was the guy at home most nights, cooking her favorite stir-fry or folding laundry, while she networked at wine bars or late-night strategy sessions with her team. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I forwarded the message to myself, deleted it from our chat to cover my tracks, and sat there, heart hammering, palms sweaty, pretending I hadn't seen what I just saw. But the seed was planted, burrowing deep into the cracks of a marriage I'd thought was solid, a seed of doubt that would grow into something I couldn't ignore. I got home before her that evening, the house eerily quiet except for the soft hum of the fridge and the click of Max, our golden retriever, padding across the hardwood to greet me, his tail wagging like a metronome. His warm muzzle nudged my hand, oblivious to the storm brewing in my chest, as if to say everything was fine, that this was just another evening in our predictable life. I paced the kitchen, the granite countertop cold under my palms, replaying every red flag I'd brushed off in the name of trust, love, or just plain denial. The late nights she'd blamed on looming deadlines, coming home at 11 p.m., smelling faintly of wine and perfume, the new lingerie I'd found tucked in her drawer. Black lace she said was just for fun, a confidence boost, though she'd never worn it for me. The way her laughs had become forced, clipped, when we talked about our days over dinner, her eyes flicking to our phone mid-sentence. I told myself I was overthinking it, that marriages ebb and flow, that routine was normal after nearly a decade together. But that photo, it wasn't just a mistake, a misfired text sent in haste. It was a window into a life she was living without me, a parallel world where I was no longer the leading man, relegated to a supporting role I hadn't auditioned for. She walked in around 10 p.m., her cheeks flushed, eyes bright in a way that used to thrill me, but now twisted like a knife in an old, unhealed wound. "Hey, babe," she said, dropping her leather bag on the counter with a casual thud, pecking me on the cheek like it was muscle memory, a ritual stripped of meaning. "Crazy day at the office. How was yours?" Her voice was light, practiced, as if she hadn't just sent a love note to someone else, as if she hadn't spent her evening somewhere else entirely. I forced a smile, my lips tight, mumbling something vague about spreadsheets and a boring team meeting, while my mind screamed questions I wasn't ready to ask. We ate leftover pasta in near silence, her scrolling through her phone, tapping out replies with a faint smile that wasn't for me watching her every move like a detective in my own home, searching for clues in the tilt of her head, the flicker of her eyes, the way her fingers hesitated over certain messages. That night, as she slept beside me, her back turned as it often was lately, her breathing steady and untroubled, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above, its blades slicing through the dark. Her words from the photo echoed in my skull. Relentless. "You always know how to make me feel alive. Who was you? And why the hell wasn't it me anymore?" When had I become the backdrop to her spotlight? The next morning, I called in sick to work, something I rarely did, my work ethic as an accountant as predictable as the sunrise, a trait she used to tease me about lovingly. While she was in the shower, the steam curling out from under the bathroom door like a secret escaping, I grabbed her phone from the nightstand, my hands trembling with a mix of guilt and desperation, as if I were committing a crime against the vows we'd made. The passcode was still our anniversary date, 0614, unchanged after all these years, a small detail that stung with irony, a reminder of promises that now felt hollow. I opened her messages, scrolling past the usual, group chats with her sister about weekend brunch plans, work threads about campaign pitches and client revisions, silly memes from her best friend, Claire, about wine and reality TV. Then I saw it, a thread labeled Ryan from work. Heart emojis peppered the conversation. Late night exchanges that started with professional banter about client briefs and creative strategies, but slid into something else entirely, something intimate that made my skin crawl. "Last night was incredible." One from him read, dated 2 weeks ago. "You light up every room you're in, Leela." Her reply, "You make me forget everything else. See you soon." Photos followed, not explicit, but intimate in a way that cut deeper. Her in that blue dress, laughing in a dimly lit bar, her hair catching the light, him with a confident grin, his arms slung casually around her shoulders, in what looked like a hotel lounge, city lights blurring in the background like a dream I wasn't part of. The air left my lungs, my vision narrowing to the glowing screen, the words swimming as my heart pounded in my ears. Ryan, her co-worker, the one she'd mentioned in passing as a new guy on the team, super talented, great with clients, talented enough to steal my wife's attention, to make her feel alive in ways I evidently couldn't, to claim a piece of her heart he'd thought was mine. I put the phone back exactly where it was, my hands shaking like I'd just committed a theft, and forced myself to act normal when she emerged from the bathroom, towel wrapped and humming a tune I didn't recognize, her hair dripping onto the hardwood. "You okay?" she asked, glancing at my pale face as she brushed her wet hair, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Yeah, just a headache," I lied, my voice flat, kissing her goodbye as she grabbed her bag and headed out the door for another day at the office, her heels clicking with purpose. The door clicked shut, and I collapsed onto the couch, Max whining softly at my feet, his brown eyes searching mine as if he sensed the fracture in our world. How long had this been going on? Months? Years? The betrayal wasn't just the affair, it was the ease of her lies. The way she'd come home and slip into our bed, into our life, like nothing had changed, like I wasn't fading into the background of her heart. A ghost in my own marriage. I didn't confront her right away. Part of me wanted to scream and demand answers, to shake the truth out of her until the lies crumbled. but another part the path that had spent years loving her quietly, steadily, swallowing my own needs to keep her happy was paralyzed, afraid of what the truth would mean, afraid of the void it would leave. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop across town, one we'd never visited together. Its exposed brick walls and indie music a stark contrast to the chain cafes we used to haunt on lazy Sundays. I sat there nursing a black coffee that tasted like ash, my mind racing through memories like a film reel on fast forward. Our wedding vows under a sprawling oak tree, promising forever in front of teary-eyed family. Her white dress glowing in the summer light, the miscarriage 3 years ago that we'd grieved together, holding each other through sleepless nights. Her tears soaking my shirt as I whispered we'd try again the vacation to Italy last summer, where we'd laughed over gelato in Florence, her hand warm in mine as we promised to grow old side by side, to build a life of shared dreams. Was it all a facade? Had I been loving a ghost while she built something real, something vibrant, with him? Had I missed the moment she slipped away? Or had she been gone for longer than I dared admit? The hours dragged on, the coffee shop emptying, as the afternoon faded into dusk. I sat there, staring out the window at strangers passing by, couples holding hands, a barista wiping down tables with a bored expression. My phone buzzed a work email, then another from my sister, Emily, asking if I was free for dinner next week. I ignored them, my thoughts looping back to Leela. I tried to pinpoint when things changed, when the warmth in her eyes turned to distraction, when our conversations became monologues about her work, her stress, her world, with me nodding along like a prop. I remembered the nights I'd stayed up late, balancing our budget so she could take that advanced marketing course, the weekends I'd spent painting the guest room because she wanted it just right for her parents' visit. I'd thought love was sacrifice, that showing up day after day, steady and reliable, was enough. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it'd become the furniture in her life, functional, expected, unnoticed until it was gone. By evening, I couldn't hold it in any longer. When she got home, her heels clicking on the hardwood, her bag hitting the counter with its usual thud, I was waiting in the living room, her phone resting on the coffee table, evidence in a trial. Max lay at my feet, his ears perked as if he sensed the tension, his tail still for once. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt, though my heart pounded like it might break through my ribs, each beat a reminder of the life we'd built now teetering on collapse. She froze, her eyes darting to the phone, then back to me, her expression shifting from confusion to dread in a heartbeat, like a deer caught in headlights. "About what?" she asked, but her voice wavered. She knew, had probably been dreading this moment as much as I had. I recited the messages I'd seen, word for word, my voice flat to keep from breaking, each syllable a nail in the coffin of our marriage. "Ryan from work. You make me forget everything else. Sound familiar?" Her face crumpled, the color draining from her cheeks as she sank into the chair opposite me, tears welling in her eyes, her hands twisting in her lap like she could wring out the guilt. "It's not what you think," she started, the classic opening line of every cheater caught in the act, her voice trembling as if she could will it to be true. But it was exactly what I thought, worse, even, because it wasn't just a fling. Ryan was her escape, her thrill, her way out of the routine she'd come to resent, the life she'd built with me, but no longer wanted. "Things have been so predictable with us," she confessed, her voice breaking as tears spilled over, streaking her mascara. "He makes me feel excited, seen, like I'm not just going through the motions of being a wife, a manager, a machine. I didn't mean for it to go this far, Ben, I swear." Her words landed like blows, each one heavier than the last. "Excited," I echoed, the word bitter on my tongue, sharp as broken glass. "What about us? What about the life we built, the promises we made under that damn oak tree?" She sobbed then, apologies tumbling out in a rush, disjointed and desperate. How it started with innocent lunches during stressful projects, evolved into after-work coffees where they'd talk about dreams and fears, then dinners, then more emotional at first, a connection that filled a void she couldn't name, then physical, crossing lines she swore she'd never cross, lines that shattered the trust we'd spent years building. "You were always so content," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, her eyes fixed on the floor as if she couldn't bear to meet mine. So steady, so predictable. I felt trapped, like I was losing myself in this house, this routine, this life. Trapped in our marriage, the one I'd poured my soul into, working overtime as an accountant to afford the house she fell in love with, its wraparound porch and big windows her dream come true, the one where it supported her through every promotion, every late night, every moment she shone while my own career took a back seat to her ambitions. I stood up, the room spinning, my hands clenched to keep from shaking, my voice low but cutting. "You didn't feel trapped, you felt entitled," I said. "Entitled to have me at home, steady and predictable, waiting with dinner and a smile, while you chased thrills with him. Built a whole secret world I wasn't invited to." I grabbed my keys, my jacket, and walked out, the door slamming behind me, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the quiet neighborhood, Max's confused bark chasing me into the night. I checked into a motel that night, the kind with peeling wallpaper, a flickering neon sign proclaiming vacancy like a bad omen, and a faint smell of stale smoke clinging to everything, despite the non-smoking sticker slapped on the door. Room 204 was a time capsule of despair. Lumpy bed, water-stained ceiling, a TV that buzzed with static no matter the channel, its remote sticky with someone else's desperation. I lay there, staring at the cracks above, replaying her words. "He makes me feel seen." Had I not seen her? Every promotion celebrated with flowers I picked out myself, every bad day met with her favorite I take out and a listening ear, every quiet moment where I thought we were content, happy even, building a life together. But apparently that wasn't enough. My phone buzzed relentlessly, texts from her, a barrage of apologies, promises to end it, pleas to come home and talk. It was a mistake. One read, "You're my home, always, Ben." Another, "I'll do anything, therapy, time, whatever you need." I silenced the notifications, but the silence in the room was worse, deafening, filled with the ghosts of what-ifs and could-have-beens, the echoes of a marriage I thought was unbreakable now lying in fragments. The next day, I didn't go home. Instead, I called my best friend, Mike, and met him at a dive bar across town. The kind with sticky floors, a jukebox blaring forgotten 90s hits, and patrons who looked like they'd seen their own share of heartbreak. Over cheap beers, I spilled everything, my voice raw, the words tasting foreign, like they belonged to someone else's tragedy. "She's been cheating," I said, the admission burning my throat. 4 months, maybe longer. Emotional, physical, the whole deal. Mike listened, his face hardening with each detail, his bottle slamming down on the scratched wooden table. "You deserve better, man," he said, his voice firm. "Don't let her gaslight you into thinking this is your fault. You didn't push her to him, she chose it, every step." He was right, but doubt crept in like fog, thick and disorienting. Was it my fault? Had I become too comfortable, too predictable, too boring in my steady love? Had I missed the signs because I was too busy loving the version of her I thought I knew? The girl from the pickup truck who'd promised me forever. That evening, I drove by our house, parking a block away like some amateur sleuth in my own tragedy, my car hidden in the shadow of a towering oak. The lights were on in the living room, her silhouette pacing back and forth through the gauzy curtains, phone pressed to her ear, her movements frantic. Was she calling me? Someone else? Ryan? Part of me wanted to rush in, to forgive her, to rebuild what we'd had, or at least try to salvage the pieces and glue them back together. But another part, the one that had been invisible for too long, the one that had folded itself into our needs for years, knew better. I drove back to the motel, the city lights blurring through inch tears, my hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. I dug deeper that night, alone with my laptop and a bottle of convenience store whiskey that burned going down, but didn't numb the ache. Logged into our shared bank app, something I'd rarely checked because she handled the finances, trusting her with the numbers, the way I'd trusted her with my heart. Small charges I hadn't noticed before jumped out like red flags. Lunches at upscale cafes we never went to together. A $200 charge for a hotel room 2 months ago disguised as a conference expense on her company card. A boutique purchase for that blue dress I'd never seen her wear. Then her email, since to our shared cloud, because we'd never bothered to separate them after all these years. Forwards from Ryan with subject lines like thinking of you or last night was magic, attached poems, inside jokes. Photos of them at events. She hadn't mentioned a client dinner in Chicago, a rooftop bar in New York during a work trip she'd said was all meetings. It wasn't just physical, it was a full-blown emotional world they'd created, a parallel life running alongside ours, where I was the placeholder husband, the steady backdrop to her vibrant new story. I felt hollow, like she'd carved out my heart and handed it to him on a silver platter, all while smiling at me over breakfast, her lies as smooth as the coffee we shared. The next morning, I woke to a voicemail from my sister, Emily, her voice soft but urgent. "Ben, Leela called me last night, crying. She said you left, that she messed up big time. She's a wreck, kept asking if I knew where you were. I didn't tell her anything, but, are you okay?" I didn't call back, not yet. Instead, I drove aimlessly, ending up at a park we used to visit, where we'd push each other on the swings like kids, laughing until our sides hurt. Now, the swings were empty, swaying slightly in the breeze, and I sat on a bench, watching families play, couples stroll hand in hand. A young couple nearby shared a picnic, her head resting on his shoulder, their laughter light and unburdened. I envied them, hated them a little for their ease, for the simplicity I'd thought we had once. My phone buzzed again, another text from Leela. "Please, just talk to me." I ended it with him. "I swear it's over." But was it? Could it ever be over when trust was shattered? When every memory now felt tainted by a secret life? Confrontation came uninvited, not by my choice, but by hers. 2 days later, she showed up at the motel. How she found me, I'll never know, though I suspected she'd tracked my phone or seen the motel charge on our joint account. She knocked softly, her voice muffled through the cheap wooden door, trembling with a mix of fear and desperation. "Please, Ben, let me in. We can fix this, I swear." I opened it, and there she was, eyes puffy, makeup smudged, her usual polished exterior frayed like an old sweater, her hands twisting nervously. She stepped inside, the room feeling smaller with her in it, and launched into apologies before I could speak. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks, her voice raw. "It was stupid, a mistake. Ryan means nothing, I was just lost. Ben, you're my everything." But her words rang hollow, rehearsed, like lines from a script she hoped would work, a performance to salvage what she'd broken. If I was everything, why him? I asked, my voice cracking for the first time, betraying the calm I'd tried to hold on to, the pain spilling out despite my efforts. She admitted it all, the floodgates opening as she sank onto the edge of the motel bed, her hands covering her face. The affair started 6 months ago, sparked by a work trip to Chicago where they bonded over shared ambitions, late-night drinks, and the kind of conversations she said we'd stopped having. "You were always so content," she said, her voice barely audible, her eyes fixed on the faded carpet. "So steady, so predictable." I felt trapped, like I was losing myself in this house, this routine, this life we built. He pushed me to dream bigger, to feel something new. Content. I'd been content because I thought we were happy, thought our quiet evenings and shared routines were the foundation of something enduring, something worth fighting for. I stood up, pacing the small room, the carpet rough under my socks, my voice rising despite myself. "You didn't dream bigger with him," I said. "You ran from us, from me, and you lied about it every day you came home and kissed me goodnight. Every time you let me believe we were okay." We talked 4 hours, tears on both sides, the air thick with regret, accusations, and the ghosts of what we'd been. She swore she'd quit her job. Is that what it took? Cut Ryan off completely, go to couples therapy, plan a getaway to reconnect like we did in Italy. She painted a picture of redemption, new vows, a fresh start, a marriage rebuilt stronger. But trust was like shattered glass, sharp-edged, impossible to reassemble without drawing blood, without leaving scars. "I forgive you," I said eventually, not because I fully did, but because holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting her to feel it. A slow death I didn't want to endure. "But I can't stay, Leela. Not like this," she begged, clutched my arm, her nails digging into my skin, her voice breaking as she promised the world new vows, new life, anything I wanted. But I saw it clearly then. Her regret wasn't just for hurting me. It was for getting caught, for losing the safety net of our marriage, while chasing the fleeting spark of someone else. Someone who made her feel alive, but didn't know her like I did, the way she hated olives, but ate them to please my mom, the way she hummed off-key in the shower when she thought no one was listening. I moved out the next week, into a cramped downtown apartment with bare walls, creaky hardwood floors, and a view of a brick alley that offered no comfort but felt honest, raw. It was nothing like our house, no garden bursting with her favorite tulips, no porch swing where we'd once planned our future, no Max bounding to greet me. But it was mine, a blank slate where I could start over. The divorce papers followed a month later, drawn up by a lawyer recommended by Mike, a no-nonsense guy who saw the pain in my eyes and didn't sugarcoat the process. Leela fought at first, calling me in tears, leaving voicemails about working through this together, about how we could still be the couple we were under that oak tree. But eventually, she relented, signing with a trembling hand during a quiet meeting at a neutral coffee shop, her eyes downcast as she slid the papers across the table, her coffee untouched. "Ryan," she claimed, she ended it the day after our motel confrontation, quit her job to focus on herself, but I didn't ask for proof, didn't want to dig deeper into a wound already festering. I blocked them both, her number, his social media, every trace of that parallel life, and deleted years of photos from my phone, keeping only one, us at our wedding, laughing under that oak tree, her veil tangled in the wind. Because even now, I didn't want to erase the good entirely, didn't want to let betrayal erase the love we'd once had. It's been 4 months since I walked away, 4 months of rediscovering what it means to be Ben, not just Leela husband, not just the steady guy who fixed leaks and planned dinners. The apartment's less bare now, a second-hand couch found at a thrift store, a few plants I'm trying not to kill, a stack of books on the coffee table from a local shop I've started visiting. Its creaky shelves and musty pages are comforts I didn't expect. If taken up running, the kind that leaves your lungs burning and your mind clear, pounding the pavement at dawn before the city wakes, the skyline glowing pink against the horizon. I joined a book club, where strangers laugh over bad plot twists and share cheap wine like old friends, their stories filling the gaps left by silence. I even went on a date last week, a casual coffee with a woman named Elise, who smiled with her eyes and didn't ask about my scars, didn't probe the shadows I carry. We talked about music, about the way certain songs can pull you back to moments you thought you'd forgotten, and for the first time in years, I laughed without forcing it, the sound raw but real. It wasn't love, not yet, maybe not ever, but it felt like breathing again, like rediscovering a part of me I'd buried under years of routine, under the weight of loving someone who stopped loving me back. Sometimes, I still think about Leela's smile in that photo, the one not meant for me, and it stings like a fresh cut, sharp and immediate. I wonder if she's okay, if she's rebuilt her life, or if she's still chasing sparks that burn out fast, leaving her colder than before. I heard through Emily that she moved to a new city, started therapy, swore off dating for a while. Part of me hopes she finds peace, the kind I'm slowly carving out for myself. But mostly, I feel free, not the wild, reckless kind of freedom that comes with youth, but the quiet kind, where you wake up one morning and realize the weight on your chest is gone, that the air feels lighter, that you're no longer waiting for someone to see you. Betrayal didn't define me, it was the bridge to something better, something mine. I was her husband, her steady anchor, the man who loved her through every storm, but now I'm just Ben Fraud, hopeful, and enough. The hardest days are the ones where memories sneak in uninvited. A song on the radio we used to dance to in the kitchen. The smell of her perfume lingering on our scarf I found in a box of forgotten things. Those moments hit like a wave, threatening to pull me under. But I've learned to ride them out, to let them pass without drowning. I've started writing, 2 not stories, not yet, but fragments of thoughts in a notebook I keep by the bed, words that spill out in the quiet hours when the city sleeps. Lines about loss, about resilience, about the way love can break you, but also teach you how to rebuild. I'm not there yet, not whole, but I'm getting closer, one step, one page, one laugh at a time. Last week, I ran into Claire, Leela best friend, at a grocery store of all places, both of us reaching for the same brand of coffee. She looked startled, then softened, her eyes searching mine for signs of the man she'd known. She misses you, she said quietly, almost an afterthought as we stood in the aisle, bags of beans in hand. She knows she screwed up, Ben, big time. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and murmured something about wishing her well. But as I walked away, I realized I meant it not out of forgiveness, not entirely, but out of a desire to let go completely, to not let her mistakes tether me to the past. Claire's words didn't pull me back, they pushed me forward, a reminder that my story isn't hers anymore. I've been thinking about the future lately, something I hadn't dared to do in the thick of it all. Maybe you'll take a trip somewhere new, not Italy, not a place tied to memories of us. Maybe Iceland, with its stark landscapes and endless skies, or somewhere closer, like the mountains a few hours away, where I can hike and feel small in the best way. I've been saving up, not for a house or a life meant for 2, but for me, for experiences that don't need someone else to complete them. I've even toyed with the idea of adopting a dog, not to replace Max, who stayed with Leela, but to have a companion who greets me without expectations, who reminds me that love can be simple, loyal, uncomplicated. The book club has become a weekly anchor, a place where I'm not defined by what I've lost. There's a guy there, Tom, who's been through a divorce, too, and we've started grabbing beers after meetings, swapping stories of heartbreak and small victories. He told me something that stuck. You don't heal by forgetting you, heal by remembering who you were before the pain. I'm starting to remember the kid who loved sketching landscapes, who dreamed of being an architect before settling for accounting because it was stable. The guy who laughed easily, who believed in love without conditions. That Ben is still in there, buried but not gone, and I'm digging him out, one day at a time. Sometimes, I wonder what I'd say if I saw Leela again, if we passed on a street corner or ended up at the same coffee shop by chance. Would I be angry, sad, indifferent? I don't know. And maybe that's okay. Maybe healing isn't about having all the answers, but about being okay with the questions, with the uncertainty. I don't hate her, not anymore. Hate takes too much energy, and I'm saving mine for living, for building a life that's mine alone. I hope she's finding her way, too, that she's learning to live with the choices she made, the bridges she burned, but that's her story now, not mine. Thanks for listening to my confession, for letting me spill this raw, jagged truth into the void, where maybe it'll resonate with someone else fading in their own story, someone else wondering if they're enough. If you've been through the quiet hell of infidelity, or a moment, a sentence, a glance, a text that broke you only to rebuild you stronger, share it below. What small choice or chance encounter do you think changed history, yours or someone else's, without anyone noticing at the time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're all here for the real stories, the ones that hurt and heal in equal measure. You're watching End Stories, where silence speaks louder than screams.